excited to talk about the Michigan Bar Exam essay frequency chart. This frequency chart has been updated with the July 2020 bar exam, so we have 10 years worth of bar exams to look at and examine and figure out the best way to study efficiently for the Michigan bar exam. That's my goal, to teach you how to study efficiently and effectively, because obviously nobody wants to waste their time. You'll have enough to do during bar prep. All right, so if you look at this frequency chart, you can see that the dates are on the top and that the subjects are on the left-hand side. You can also see that some subjects are tested over and over again. Just going down the left-hand side, you can see civil procedure, constitutional law, contracts, corporations, criminal law, criminal procedure, evidence, family law, personal property, real property, and torts to a degree. These are super highly tested subjects. You want to know them very well. Another thing you can notice is if you look at the February 2016 bar exam and onward, there has actually been a shift starting with that bar exam. This is when the Michigan Board of Law Examiners decided to start testing less tested subjects more often. So since then, agency, conflicts, and equity have been tested a lot. The good news is these are actually kind of easier subjects to learn. So it's not bad that they've chosen those three to test more often. There's also some subjects that have been rarely tested in the past, like partnership and negotiable instruments, that have come up just once since that bar exam in 2016, but they're still fair game. Creditors' rights, which some courses don't even teach. This is things like garnishments and attachments. This has been tested 4 times in the recent years, so make sure that you learn creditors' rights. And then other subjects have actually decreased in the frequency of how often they're tested. Like sales, for example, is tested less than it was. And this is because typically if sales is not tested, the Board of Law Examiners will test negotiable instruments, secured transactions, or creditors' rights. And since those subjects have been tested more, sales has been tested less. Trusts has been tested less. Wills has been tested a lot more than trusts. We saw on the July 2020 bar exam that trusts actually came up again, which was a little bit surprising to some because that's been tested less in more recent years. And also workers' compensation has been tested less. You can see that it used to be tested constantly till about 2015. It was tested basically every bar exam, and then it started, decreasing in how often it was tested. This is mostly because the Board of Law Examiners do not have any workers' comp attorneys on their board anymore, whereas they used to, so the subject's just tested less often now. Lastly, you can see that professional responsibility has not been tested at all since July 2016. This was shocking to people when it didn't appear on that exam because it was literally tested basically every exam since 1990. So everyone was really surprised to not have a professional responsibility question. Some people thought they just missed it on the bar exam because it's tested so often. It was the one consistently tested subject. But the reason it has not been tested since then is because that's when the Board of Law Examiners realized that the MPRE is given and every examinee has to pass the MPRE. So they told law schools that they weren't going to be testing professional responsibility. You still have to know professional responsibility because it's still listed as one of the potential subjects that could be tested on the Michigan bar exam. It's still listed in Rule 3A. So you don't want to ignore this subject because it's technically still fair game. But you shouldn't be surprised if you don't see it. In fact, I would be surprised if you do see it on an exam. So just as a recap, there are some subjects that you absolutely have to know and you should expect to see on essays, like crim law, crim pro, family law, real property, all those highly tested subjects we listed first. Then there are other subjects that have been increasing in how frequently they're tested that shouldn't surprise you, like agency, conflicts, and equity. And then there are less tested topics that you still need to prepare for, like creditors' rights, partnership, negotiable instruments. These are still fair game to come up. So to study efficiently, you do need to allocate more time to the more highly tested subjects. For less tested subjects, the best thing you can do is review the highly tested topics within those subjects. These are the topics that are tested repeatedly over and over again. Like equity repeatedly tests preliminary injunctions. Conflicts repeatedly test choice of law in a contracts claim or choice of law in a tort claim. You want to learn these highly tested topics really well and focus on these specifically. And that's what we're going to cover next. So stay tuned to our overview of the highly tested topics on the Michigan essays.